Good morning, everyone. Here's your Mormon News Update for July 7th, 2025. I recently finished reading the book Tabernacles of Clay by Taylor Petrie. While reading it, I researched a myriad of things that happened when the Mormon Church was spending large amounts of money to try and get Proposition 8 passed in California. Proposition 8, often called Prop 8, was a highly controversial ballot initiative in California that passed in the November 2008 state elections. Its purpose was to amend the California state constitution to ban same-sex marriage, defining marriage as exclusively between a man and a woman. This proposition effectively overturned a California Supreme Court ruling from May of 2008 that had previously legalized same-sex marriage in the state. The pass of Prop 8 sparked widespread protests and legal challenges from LGBTQ+ rights advocates. While the California Supreme Court upheld Prop 8 in 2009, its federal constitutionality was challenged. In 2010, a U.S. District Court judge ruled Prop 8 unconstitutional. Ultimately, on June 26, 2013, the U.S. Supreme Court effectively paved the way for same-sex marriages to resume in California. This happened when the Supreme Court ruled in Hollingsworth v. Perry that the proponents of Proposition 8 did not have legal standing to defend the law in federal court, leaving the lower court's ruling that Prop 8 was unconstitutional as the final decision. In 2024, California voters passed Proposition 3, which officially repealed Proposition 8 and explicitly enshrined the right to marry regardless of gender in the state's constitution. One of the things I found while researching was this interesting 1-minute video trying to dissuade people from voting yes on Prop 8.
Can I help you?
Hi, we're from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
We're here to take away your rights.
They are obviously trying to make the men at the door appear to be Mormon missionaries. They did a pretty good job.
We'll take these. Thank you.
Fact. Proposition 8 would take away the legal rights of thousands of same-sex couples.
And that's true. It did, thankfully, only for a short time.
Fact. Members of the Mormon Church have given over $20 million to pass Proposition 8.
That is also true. While the Mormon Church itself did not spend $20 million directly on Proposition 8, it did play a significant role in the campaign. Reports indicate that members of the church contributed approximately $20 million to the Yes on 8 campaign. An NBC News article from 2009 says the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which has been criticized for strongly encouraging its members to support Proposition 8, for the first time assigned a dollar value of nearly $190,000 to its role in getting the initiative passed. More than half, or $97,000, went to the time staff of the Utah-based Mormon Church devoted to the Yes on 8 campaign, according to the church's report. Another $21,000 was for the use of church buildings and equipment during the campaign. Most of the rest went to airline tickets, hotels, and meals for church officials.
You can't do this.
Who's going to stop us? Found it.
Hey, wait! We have rights.
Not if we can help it.
This is obviously dramatized, but I can imagine this is how it felt for same-sex couples who were just trying to live their best lives.
That was too easy.
Yeah, what should we ban next?
Say no to a church taking over your government. Vote no on Proposition 8.
It's a pretty great video. The Mormon Church says on its newsroom, the church does not endorse, promote, or oppose political parties and their platforms or candidates for political office. Allow its church buildings, membership lists, or other resources to be used for political purposes. Advise its members on how to vote. Direct government officials or party leaders in the duties of their office. Typically issue statements regarding disputes in or between nations, lands, or peoples. Rather, it teaches the gospel of Jesus Christ with the knowledge that living these principles limits contention and hostilities. However, their involvement in Prop 8 has often been viewed as a violation of their own policy on political neutrality. Now let's watch a small portion of a video from Ward Radio.
People talk about the horrible experiences that they had being raised in the church. Almost every single time, if you get really specific with the person and they get detailed about what it was that was difficult for them, it was their family.
It was
and how
daddy
they were
issues.
raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I commented on this once before saying, yes, they are right. I did leave the church because of daddy issues, because I ultimately left when I realized that my Heavenly Father was a terrible parent. A good parent protects their children from harm. If God is all powerful and all loving, why does he permit immense suffering, natural disasters, disease, violence, and profound injustice? On top of that, when miracles or divine interventions are cited, they often appear arbitrary or infrequent. If God intervenes for some, why not for all? And if we take the Bible literally, God was dysregulated, and so instead of talking with his children, he drowned them. Also, instead of providing clear evidence or direct explanations for suffering or divine will, God often appears to demand unquestioning faith. God is a parent who expects obedience and trust without offering sufficient justification or transparency. Good parents educate and teach their children the whys of life. All of that still rings true for me, but let's watch that clip one more time.
People talk about the horrible experiences that they had being raised in the church. Almost every single time, if you get really specific with the person and they get detailed about what it was that was difficult for them, it was their family.
It was
and how
daddy
they were
issues.
raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I immediately thought of Heavenly Father when I heard the video, I failed to take it at face value and realize that what they are admitting is that the Mormon Church fosters unhealthy and harmful earthly fathers. And guess what? They are still absolutely right about that as well. The Mormon Church is rooted in patriarchy. Patriarchal norms often dictate that men must be strong, stoic, and invulnerable. Expressions of feminine emotions like sadness, fear, or vulnerability are discouraged, often deemed as signs of weakness. This leads to emotional repression, where men struggle to identify, express, and process their feelings in healthy ways. When a man cannot sit with his own feelings, he is not going to be a father that can make space for his child's big emotions. Patriarchy often places immense pressure on men to be the sole or primary financial provider, regardless of their individual aspirations or economic realities. Failure to meet this expectation can lead to feelings of inadequacy, shame, and failure, contributing to stress, anxiety, and depression. Men are expected to be physically strong and protect others, particularly women and children. This can lead to engaging in risky behaviors, neglecting their own physical and mental health, like delaying doctor visits, and feeling immense pressure to solve problems through force or dominance rather than diplomacy or emotional intelligence. So, yes, a lot of people who leave the Mormon Church have daddy issues, but maybe let's stop saying daddy issues, because that's not really a thing. It's not the child who has issues, it's their dad. And if their dad was raised in the patriarchal structure of the Mormon Church, his issues may be emotional immaturity, selfishness, or lack of responsibility, among others. If a child has a dad who is still alive but isn't a part of their life, it's not their fault. They are not the one who has issues. The dad is the one who has the issues by being irresponsible and neglectful and not knowing how to be an emotionally healthy and available father. Now let's go to the Salt Lake Tribune for this news that says a former Bath & Body Works store manager in Utah is alleging she was unfairly terminated for her religious beliefs about pronoun use. First Liberty Institute, the law firm representing Jocelyn Bowden, filed a discrimination charge with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission on Monday, asserting that Bowden was fired for refusing to comply with the company's pronoun policy. Bowden, a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, was terminated after declining to use a transgender employee's pronouns, citing her religious beliefs, according to the charge. No one should be forced to choose between their job and their faith, Stephanie Taub, senior counsel for First Liberty Institute, said in a news release. Bath and Body Works could have easily worked with Jocelyn and offered an accommodation, but instead they chose to violate state and federal law and fire her. Let's take a break from the article and take a quick look at the church's official policy. The church's website has a PDF that says preferred names and pronouns. They are getting off to a bad start with that title. The word preferred suggests that someone's pronouns are a preference, like a preferred color or food. This implies that using those pronouns is optional or a courtesy rather than a fundamental aspect of their identity and a basic sign of respect. For many transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming individuals, their pronouns are not a preference, they are simply their pronouns, the correct way to refer to them. Back to the church's official policy. Official church records reflect a member's biological sex at birth. The use of preferred names and pronouns should be a matter left between individuals and their family, friends, and church members. Local leaders should not determine or prescribe how members address an individual. If a member has a preferred name, it may be noted in the preferred name field on the membership record. So according to official church policy, this manager could have used the employee's name and pronouns, and they wouldn't have been going against church policy. Back to the Salt Lake Tribune article. In a statement, a Bath & Body Works spokesperson said, Bath & Body Works complies with all laws concerning employment practices. As an equal opportunity employer, we do not discriminate in our management of our associates on the basis of any protected status. The law firm alleges that Bowden's firing violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin, and requires employers to provide reasonable religious accommodations, and the Utah Anti-Discrimination Act, which bars termination based on religious beliefs. After a transgender employee started working at Bowden's store in Layton, where she had been employed for 3.5 years, multiple team members chastised and alienated her for not using that employee's pronouns, the charge states. In her statement supporting the charge, Bowden said she was willing to use the employee's chosen name, but referred to the employee as she when speaking with other staff, claiming she could not, in good conscience, refer to an associate by preferred pronouns that were inconsistent with reality and my moral beliefs as a Latter-day Saint. After other employees raised concerns with the company's Human Resources Department about Bowden's refusal to use the transgender employee's pronouns, HR contacted Bowden, according to her statement. 2 days later, on May 8th, she was terminated. Bowden states that she received no warning or disciplinary action before she was fired. After a charge is filed, the EEOC may choose to investigate the claims, according to the agency's website. First Liberty Institute specializes in cases involving religion in the public square. It represented a high school football coach in Washington State who was dismissed after leading his team in prayers on the field after games. The case went to the U.S. Supreme Court, which ruled 6-3 that the coach's prayers were protected speech. I will be interested to see how this plays out, since official church policy says that using someone's pronouns does not go against the church. Now let's go to the ex-Mormon subreddit for this post that says, I'm saddened today. A very good friend of mine was the bishop of the ward when my spouse and I chose to resign. Now, crickets. So I am recoining the term Mormon crickets to represent those that can only hold a relationship within the walls of a church. What sayest thou? With that new definition, I can say that I did experience Mormon crickets when I left the Mormon church. Did you? And last up today, let's finish with this great quote, because toxic family members and the Mormon church tend to have a lot in common. It says, toxic family members will often speak the worst about you once you become someone they can no longer manipulate or control. Your growth threatens the version of you they depended on, the one who stayed quiet, compliant, or constantly sought their approval. When that version disappears, so does their sense of power over you. The mindset to hold is to let them talk. They are going to talk regardless. Understand, their words reveal more about their need for control than anything about who you truly are. Keep growing. You have a much greater purpose in this life than to fit into their narrative. And that's your update for today, folks. I absolutely hope you have the day that you deserve.